It's a little bit difficult to comprehend the fact we're so close to Tears of the Kingdom. What started as the sequel to Breath of the Wild back in 2019 has always had an aura of myth around it. And that's probably because, all things considered, we haven't really seen that much of the game. The latest trailer from the February Nintendo Direct was by far our most substantial look, but there's still so much unknown. That's why today we're talking about why it's important Tears of the Kingdom maintains a level of mystery before launch, and what Nintendo's so far secretive approach to marketing means for the game itself. If you're new to the channel, welcome in, as here we discuss the latest Nintendo news and dive into new and classic reviews all centered around the greatest gaming company on the planet. So without further ado, let's get started. We've seen Tears of the Kingdom a whopping total of 5 times so far. The initial teaser at E3 2019, the second teaser at E3 2021, the development update which delayed the game into 2023, the first official trailer at the September 2022 Nintendo Direct, and finally that big February Nintendo Direct trailer I mentioned earlier. These 5 points in history, which span over 4 years now, are the only times Nintendo has given real information about the game. And even now, with the official release date under 2 months away, their marketing around Tears of the Kingdom has been interesting to say the least. While they'll send out the occasional Tears of the Kingdom hype tweet once in a while, most of their messaging on the Zelda side is geared toward, of all things, Breath of the Wild. First, Breath of the Wild and its expansion content got put on sale shortly after the last Nintendo Direct, in an effort to capture any of the Tears of the Kingdom audience who have yet to play the first game. But it doesn't stop there. Lately, they've been pretty consistently tweeting about Breath of the Wild, even going as far as releasing the 44-page Explorer's Guide, now as a free digital download. It's actually really nice, and I highly recommend looking at that if you haven't already. But why? With Breath of the Wild being such a popular game, it makes sense that they'd want to squeeze every last drop out of it while they still can. And sure, that makes good financial and business sense, but maybe it goes a bit deeper than that. I can't even tell you the amount of times I've seen this comment. I wish I could wipe my memory and play Breath of the Wild again for the first time. And absolutely I agree, I would love to do that too. Because think back to your first Breath of the Wild playthrough. For me, I can vividly remember how it felt discovering the limits of the world and its near endless possibilities. The first time feeling the terror of a Guardian's laser on my back, the wonder of spotting a massive dragon in the distant sky, or my first time thinking, I have a piece of flint in my inventory and here's a pile of wood. There's no way striking the flint next to the wood will make a fire, will it? And then you try it, and it actually works. Jaw-dropping moments like that are all part of Breath of the Wild's magic. And if you could bottle up that feeling, the feeling of discovering some of this stuff for the very first time, it would be the most sought-after substance on the planet. Intangibles like that are a big part of why Breath of the Wild captivated the gaming world. And they're why Tears of the Kingdom is going to sell millions of copies, no matter what it's priced at and no matter how it's reviewed. But therein lies its biggest obstacle. A lot of what was previously magic is now common knowledge, and the things that wowed and amazed in Breath of the Wild certainly won't have as strong of an effect in Tears of the Kingdom. This is why making good video game sequels is so hard in the first place. And when you're trying to make a sequel to what's widely considered the greatest game ever made, that spells probably the biggest challenge any dev and design team has faced in the history of the industry. If you look at it that way, it's no mystery why the game has taken over 6 years to make, why it was initially delayed out of 2022, and why every single step Nintendo has taken, from the game's imagery, its messaging, and even its very title, has been taken with extreme caution. All that to say, we've seen very little. But I think that's because soon, we're going to see something that means a whole lot. This is a sequel to Breath of the Wild, a game that relied on the wonder and mystery of exploration. Therefore, it makes sense that with Tears of the Kingdom, they would want to show as little as possible. With Breath of the Wild, we saw quite a bit pre-launch. Not for nothing, but there was an entire E3 show dedicated solely to that one game. And this is not me saying they showed too much of Breath of the Wild before it came out, because the game still had a ton of mystery and secrets behind it. Personally speaking, I paid very close attention to the pre-release coverage, and don't think it harmed my enjoyment of the end product in any way. But I think Nintendo showed a lot of Breath of the Wild before it came out because they kinda had to. They had no other choice. This was the first game of its kind, and they needed to get that message across. The previous 3D Zelda to release was Skyward Sword, and it doesn't get much more different than that. But with Tears of the Kingdom, it's a different case. Now that Breath of the Wild has already captured an audience, the general gaming public kinda knows what to expect. And with this, Nintendo now has the liberty to play their cards a little bit closer to their chest. A strategy that might be very powerful for Tears of the Kingdom in particular, especially if it's going to be using the same or a similar game world to what Breath of the Wild players are already used to. But even though I'm saying all this, I don't think this is the end of pre-release content for Tears of the Kingdom. For one thing, I'd be foolish not to predict a dedicated Nintendo Direct for the game happening within the next few weeks. If we look at past years, the biggest Nintendo releases usually get a focused presentation about a month before launch. And if there's going to be a DLC season pass or a special edition OLED console for the game, that is going to be the place to reveal it. And it's here we might also get the last few pieces of crucial information Nintendo thinks we need before the game's May 12th release date. Having played Breath of the Wild, we can make a lot of assumptions about what Tears of the Kingdom is going to be like, and I'm guilty of it myself. Assuming Tears of the Kingdom will feel and control just like Breath of the Wild, assuming it'll be open world with similar combat and a similar structure, all taking place on pretty much the same map. But in reality, we don't even know yet. All we know is it's going to be a sequel. It certainly looks like Breath of the Wild, which makes it really easy to assume it'll all be in the same engine and feel really similar. But for all we know, we get another look at the game in a few weeks, and that perception completely changes. But as far as official information is concerned, we can go through some of the text on the website to glean some important clues. The Nintendo site certainly suggests Tears of the Kingdom will have a similar freeform structure to Breath of the Wild, since it says, "Decide your own path through the sprawling landscapes of Hyrule and the mysterious islands floating in the vast skies above." But with the exception of the floating islands, this is something we've done before. Remove the islands bit, and this sounds like the same game. I think the biggest hint at Tears of the Kingdom's unique identity is this sentence here. The adventure is yours to create in a world fueled by your imagination. This might be the key to Tears of the Kingdom's own wow factor. It might not be the world of Hyrule itself that's going to shock and delight this time. Instead, it's going to be the mechanics and possibilities that it allows. While making fire with flint, cutting down a tree to use as a bridge, or riding a raft across an open sea might have wowed me in Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom will be adding even more on top of that. The latest trailer has already given us details that fit this mold. Powers that defy time and gravity, imaginative new tools and weapons, the ability to create and drive vehicles made from scrap parts found all over the world. These are all creative gameplay elements that let the player's imagination run wild. And just like how Breath of the Wild let players use the tools at their disposal in creative ways to formulate their own unique adventures in Hyrule, Tears of the Kingdom is going to take this and do it at an even higher level. So no matter what we see within the next few months, whether it's a little or a whole lot, I don't think there's all that much to worry about. He's waking up soon. Are you ready?